Okay, everybody. Welcome to the September 1st meeting, joint meeting of the Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission and the Heritage Area Commission. We are going to just start with a few basic pointers. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are recording this, and it is also. Okay.
So it can be tense, and we will roll out.
Don't make any sudden movements.
Nope.
Okay. Okay, we'll try again. All right, we are recording and we are live streaming on the City of Kingston's YouTube channel, so welcome everybody. The bathrooms are out of the chambers to my right. Men's is to the front of the building, women's to the back. If you have cell phones, please silence them. And also, if you do have sidebar conversations, please take them outside of the room. There are conference rooms on either side of the chambers that can be used for that. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Chairman Clement to begin at 6:33.
Thank you, Sue. I'm Hayes Clement. I'm the chairman of the Heritage Area Commission and a member of the Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission. Calling our HAC meeting to order. I will call the roll first. I'm Hayes Clement. I'm here. Bonnie Howland.
Here.
Michael Del Prior.
Here.
Nettie Morano.
Here.
Janet Marr.
Here.
And Kevin McAvoy via remote.
He's here.
Thank you. First order of business for the HAC is the adoption of the minutes of our August 4th, 2022 meeting. Has everyone on the HAC had a chance to review the draft minutes? Does anybody have any suggested changes or issues? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of August 4th, 2022?
Bonnie Howland, so moved.
Thank you, Bonnie. Do I hear a second?
Janet Marr, second.
Thank you, Janet. Any debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Unanimous. Thank
Kevin
you.
is an aye too. Just
Kevin is an aye also. Sue?
okay. Mark, do you want to do yours?
Hi, good evening. My name is Mark Grunblatt. I'm Chair of Historic Landmark Preservation Commission. I will ask each member of the commission to introduce themselves. We'll start over here with you, Hayes.
I'm Hayes Clement. I'm a member of the HLPC.
Robert Tonner, Commissioner.
Nettie Morano, Commissioner.
And I will introduce Kevin McAvoy, who is attending remotely. All right. First order of business for us is adoption of the minutes of our August 16th meeting. Have all HLPC members had a chance to review? Are there any suggested amendments or corrections?
I move to approve the minutes of August 16th, 2022.
Thank you, Hayes. Do I hear a second?
Second. Robert.
Thank you, Robert. All in favor?
Aye.
Please. Aye.
Aye.
And
Kevin's
Kevin?
an aye.
All right, it's unanimous then. All right, back to you.
Do you want to start since it's an
All right,
joint.
first application is 97 Broadway. Do I have someone here for that? Hi. Come have a seat. Introduce yourself and explain what's going on.
Just-
Yep, yep.
Great, thank you.
Green is important.
Hi, my name is Brent Felker, and I'm a volunteer with the Kingston Community Fridges and duly appointed representative for the Art Society of Kingston to discuss this matter in front of this commission. And what's in front is a shelter for a community refrigerator located in the alley between 97 and 95 Broadway.
All right.
Brent, is this a temporary structure or is this intended to be more permanent and longer term?
Yeah, it was initially set up as a temporary structure because there were some concerns in the ASK board about what the impact would be. However, we've had it now for almost a year. We've really only seen positive outcomes from it. So I think that we would be looking to keep it there for longer and maybe put something in that's a little more permanent.
Mhm.
Do the neighbors have any issue with it?
Everybody's been very supportive from the get-go. Restaurants all along Broadway were giving food, and a number of them still do. Grounded, which is a catering company just a couple doors down, every week puts in some individual food containers for people. We did receive a complaint about some people who we're not sure were using the fridge, but the person who complained felt like they were there for the fridge, who had disrupted some of his customers.
What about the immediate neighbors?
No.
And my only other question was, isn't the fire escape for ASK on that side of the building?
It is, yeah. The fire escape is on that side. However, the structure doesn't impede any of the egress there. It's contained within where the hedge was. So the access to the alleyway is unchanged by the structure.
We had back a couple of years ago reviewed a plan to do a whole courtyard in that alleyway and a handicap entrance along the front. It was a really nicely developed plan. Is that just then put to the side now, or is that something that you're still going to be pursuing in the future? Because it made a nice entry. It had a sculpture kind of area that you could
absolutely. There's kind of there's a 3-phase plan that exists that covers the facade of ASK.
Mhm.
It covers disabled access to the space, and then another phase of that plan was that courtyard area that would be sculptures. It would raise it up to the level so that we could use doorways from ASK directly out onto it. We're probably a few years out from at least the second phase of that, and due to some internal issues at ASK, we're probably a couple of years out from the first phase of that at this point.
Right.
Hopefully that changes, but right now we don't have any plans to move forward immediately within the next year or so.
Was there any thought in terms of making this blend a little bit more kind of is very drastic sitting there? It doesn't really fit, in my opinion, into the historic street facade. And I was wondering if there was being asked the Art Society, I would imagine that there's a lot of, innovative ideas and consideration. I was just wondering if any thought has been given into how this can be made to blend a little bit.
Sure.
More
Well,
syncly.
one of the things that we talked about when we got the people to volunteer to design it, it was very kind of a quick process. We got the fridge, we got people like, we can build the shelter, we can supply the materials, all happened within a couple of weeks. So we wanted to make sure that it was back off the sidewalk, wasn't kind of intruding onto the sidewalk, that it blended in as best as possible from a profile perspective. And like I said, it was meant to be more of a temporary structure that we would then revisit and say, okay, this is something that we really want to move forward and have something. And one of the ideas that was floated was to have a community kind of decorating it, get the community together to have it, painted and things like that. But before we did anything like that, we wanted to get some feedback from y'all before we picked colors or put up signage or anything beyond that temporary stuff. But yeah, we talked about that in terms of the size of it and kind of, keeping it flush with existing buildings and things like that.
There are potential zoning issues with it in terms of being an accessory structure and where it's located.
Okay.
Normally they are not allowed in front yards and they have certain setback requirements. I did reach out to the ZEO. I haven't heard back, but that should be a condition of this board, that you meet with him to confirm. And I'm not sure how he's going to categorize the use.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
have
Okay.
you talked to them at all at the building department about
No,
the location and the use? Okay.
no.
Have you had any vandalism issues? I'm just curious. Is it-
No, that was one of the concerns the S board brought up, and one of the reasons why we wanted to have this kind of, test period for a year or so. And we haven't seen any increase in trash. We haven't had any vandalism issues. We haven't had any, loitering or vagrancy or anything like that.
And ask accepts responsibility for this in the event the volunteer coordinators don't maintain it.
Yeah,
that kind of thing?
absolutely. The ask staff is the backup for the volunteers. So we have volunteer every day, and then ask staff is there 5 days a week, and so they also check in on the space. And it's covered under our liability policy. We added it to ask added it to their insurance policy.
Are there any health department regulations or permits required for this, because you're distributing food? And I mean, some of it, I looked at your website, is homemade. As long as the ingredients are listed, it can
Yeah.
be put in there. But so I'm wondering, is there any health department restrictions or oversight?
There aren't, and community fridges are something that's throughout the country, and have especially the past few years have become a lot more popular. And there aren't really any regulations or restrictions or a governing body that kind of looks at it. There are the strong recommendations of nothing expired, nothing that's been previously opened. And if it is homemade, then it needs to have a full list of ingredients and the date it was packed. And that's one of the things that the volunteers are all looking for when we go in. And we have to toss anything that doesn't meet those requirements.
Have we gotten an opinion from the corporation council on whether the city needs to be named as additionally insured on something like this?
It's on private property. I don't believe.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from members of HLPC?
In general, it's just like, you see it as a temporary structure, or?
That's what this structure is
So-
seen as, more of a temporary structure. And then, it was to see how it went. So it's something that we could, depending on, how we go with the zoning and with this commission, these two commissions recommendations, we can make adjustments to it, because it wasn't intended to kind of be like that forever.
So then if I understand you correctly, if it's successful in what you're hoping to, accommodate, would you be looking to replace this structure with something that is more permanent? I guess what I'm asking, are you looking at this structure as the temporary housing for this community fridge? And then going forward, in 6 months, if you see that this is really taking off and really playing a positive role in the community, replacing this wooden shed type structure with something more permanent in nature?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we definitely would look at if that's what's needed. I don't know that we need to change, again, depending on zoning and y'all's recommendations, I don't know that we need to change the structure of it so much right now. It feels like it's working pretty well as far as how much space it's taking up, and keeping the weather out and stuff like that. So it may just be adjustments or amendments that made to the existing structure, or depending on the recommendations, an entirely new structure. So we'll see. But it's been going for a little while now, and we've gotten very positive feedback from the community. Ask is very happy that it's on their property, and it seems to be going well. So I think we would anticipate wanting to continue to use it.
I mean, I know the commissions have reviewed other shed structures in the historic districts, and, you know, some of them are prefab units, you know, the little baby barn type style things. But I think they're more complementary to the historic nature of the district. And I think I would like to see this move in that direction. That's me personally. I don't know about the remainder of the commission members. I'm not a voting member. But I think, you know, if this is to become something more permanent in stature there, I would like to see something that's more consistent with the historic architecture.
One possibility might be a time-limited approval so that we could see how it weathers and whether you want to replace it with a newer structure at a certain point down the road. Would that be something attractive to the proponents here?
I'm sorry, I missed the very first part of what you said.
I'm wondering, rather than I'm responding to the design question. I mean, it's there, it's serving an important function in the community, but it may stand up well, may not stand up well to the test of time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So one possibility would be a time limited, I'm thinking something on the order of 2, maybe 3 years. Would that be attractive and from your end? I don't know exactly how long or what the finishes are here and how well it's likely to stand up to the weather.
I mean, the people who designed it, Holly Moisenko and her husband, really worked to ensure that it would last through the winter and the spring. So they wanted to make sure. So I feel like it's pretty well built, and we haven't seen any issues even with the rain and everything that we've had this summer. So I think I would definitely want to check with them if they felt like it could withstand a couple years in the space. But yeah, I think we would be willing to do that. Though I don't know that we would want to leave it exactly as it is from a design standpoint. Painting or signage or something, again, to make it, because right now it's still very raw structure. And so if there's anything that we can do, if it does end up staying for a few years, well, we check, then we'd still probably want to make some amendments to it, some adjustments, some design elements to it.
I think, even just painting it, the raw wood is what I think is so stark, in contrast, and, it tends to make it just kind of stick out, but you want to make it so that it's noticeable. I get that.
Right. We
too,
want to play that.
and you don't want to make it, it's not the same. You don't want to make it exactly the same, but you do, I think there's some ways to improve upon it so that it's.
When they painted the fridge, they did look at the mural that's on 95 Broadway to try to match that color, that kind of pale yellow color,
right.
To just draw in a little bit of that. But again, there was the painting of the outside as a whole conversation that would need to happen. So if there's any guidance that could come from this commission, that might actually help that conversation move forward.
And I'm sorry, I may have missed it. It was a little hard to understand you. What is the status of the bigger facade improvement plan we saw for ASK a year or so back?
It has not, if I understood correctly, it hasn't been shelved totally, but it's a phased project for the whole site to be improved, and
But
that's
no
one of
phase
the
of
final.
it started.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, any other
Yeah, I do have a
questions?
question. Yeah, Sue, did I read that there was a complaint about it? I wonder if that's was it?
Right, that's
it-
how it got to us. There was a complaint received through the Building Safety Division. They contacted us to ask if there had been any review on it, and that's how it came here.
So the why they contacted us was because of the look of the thing? Is that what it was?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
effectively, yes.
Okay.
And do we know if the complaint came from a neighbor or,
It was a resident of the Rondout,
but not an immediate neighbor as far as you know?
a close neighbor, yes.
It's like, what paint color do you paint it so that everybody's happy? Is that what it is?
Well, that was gonna be my question. This says the plan is to have a community paint day with neighborhood residents helping to paint the shelter. So that, does that become a color? Does it become a mural? Does it become?
I don't know.
Yeah. That's, and ideally, we'd love for that to be community driven as much as possible, just so
Right.
that people there have a stake in the thing. It's not a lot of space. No, it's mostly open space, the fridge itself, and then the side is pretty much obscured by the bush that's there, so.
The left side of this, is that a cabinet for dry goods for?
That's correct,
people?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, dry goods and toiletries.
It's left open 24/7.
Yes,
Just to reiterate something Mark said, I do think this is appropriate to maybe have this as an approval for a set amount of time, for a year or two, just so that somebody has some visibility into making sure it's, properly maintained on an ongoing basis.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. Hang on. So I'd like to follow up on Hayes's commentary. I was thinking a 2-year approval might be appropriate. Does anyone have a sense that that's too long, too short?
I would recommend 2. And I just spoke with Matt Jankowski real quick to just confirm that you have the ability to issue a condition that has a time restriction along with it. And that he did say that you could do that. I just wanted to make sure before we went ahead and did something of that nature.
Well, thank you for checking in. I'm happy to report it's been done before.
Well, that doesn't
I'm
mean
okay
that
with
it's
2
good.
years.
Structure as it looks like they're intending that when it comes before that they propose, any kind of external design that's more in accordance with historical nature. I can recite that. Okay. First, I will entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Oh, I've made Sue's day.
Hayes Clement, so moved.
Do I hear a second?
Robert Tonner, second.
Thank you, Hayes. Thank you, Robert. I will, is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Hayes,
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Nettie,
Aye.
Kevin?
Yep.
Saw that. Thank you, Kevin. And I also vote in the affirmative. Okay, I move that the commissioner present find as fact that the community refrigerator and pantry at 97 Broadway in the Rondout Historic District by owner applicant Art Society of Kingston, if installed according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in Chapter 405-64 of the City of Kingston Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building for the following reasons. The refrigerator and pantry are temporary installations that were installed to meet the needs of the community. The construction of the enclosure is not fixed to any part of the building and is located in a vacant space between buildings. The installation may be painted and is to be regularly maintained by volunteers or staff at the Arts Society. In light of the temporary nature of the structure, I am asking that you want to make a note there?
Yeah.
That this be limited to 2 years, at which time you would have, the Art Society would be expected to return. If there are changes in the design, we would ask that the Art Society also come back to us with that.
do you want to include that if they look to a more permanent structure, that it be in context with the historical character?
Yes,
Okay.
I would expect you to recognize that on return. So we're going to make that explicit in the motion. All right, so if you return with changes or a more permanent structure, it must be, you must explain to us how it's historically compatible. Any changes or additions to the plans or work specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to additional work being carried out. The commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Shall we specifically state the zoning
Yes,
enforcement
I was just
officer,
going to.
including the City of Kingston zoning enforcement officer? Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on this first day of September 2022, that our commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for the work as described herein and in its application to our commission, such notice to be subject to the conditions contained in the foregoing motion. Do I hear a second?
Hayes Clement, second.
Thank you, Hayes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Hayes?
And we're making explicit that it's a 2-year.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Hi, Robert. Nettie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Kevin's a yes.
Thank you. I also vote in the affirmative. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Do members of the Heritage Area Commission have any questions of the applicant? Do I hear a motion from a Heritage Area Commission member to declare this a type 2 action under seeker? So moved by Michael. Do I hear a second?
Nettie Morano, second.
Nettie, thank you. That motion's on the floor. Any debate? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy.
That was a yes.
Kevin's a yes also.
Thank you for watching. I'm writing.
All right. Do I hear a motion from a Heritage Area Commissioner to endorse the preservation notice of action as relayed by the HLPC, including the 2-year limit on the temporary permit?
Bonnie Howland, so moved.
Bonnie, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Nettie Morano, second.
Thank you, Nettie. Any debate on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Now you're done. Next up, 151-159 and 165 Abeal Street. Do we have anyone
Yep.
here on the Abeal Street application?
Abil.
Hi, if you could turn on your microphone and state your name and give us a quick overview of the plan.
My name is Ronald Faya.
Can you slide it a little closer to you so it gets picked up?
My
Oh,
name
don't
is
do
Ronald
two,
Faya.
you'll get
one.
feedback.
Ronald Faya. The property is at 165 Abeal Street in Kingston. It's a wood structure, currently 2 stories with an attic space, wood framed, in dire need of some renovations and upgrades. It's in the Historical Society area. And my intention is to put 2 dormers on the top, which will allow me then to put solar panels at a 21 degree, which is the degree you need for solar for both winter and summer. And I would have egress from outside the building, a staircase on the side and a staircase on the side and balconies on the backyard. I'd like to increase the usage from a 3-family to a 5-family. It's going to be owner occupied. I'll be occupying the top floor, and my 3 children would be occupying at different times the other apartments.
All right, so you're going to have a much less pitched roof.
Correct.
What's happening with the chimneys?
Well, the chimneys would be removed to accommodate the solar panels, because they would provide shade on the solars. And if you have any shade on the solar, the whole array won't work properly. I could build a building. The amount of solar that I'm putting on there is 9,000 kilowatts. It'll be a very tight building, all LED lighting. So it should be
Ron,
primarily off.
Can I just ask you to speak into the
Oh,
microphone?
So it would
Thank
be
you.
a primarily off the grid building. It would produce all its own electricity.
I'm just a little confused. We're calling it an addition of dormers, but it's really a full floor, right?
Right. The pitch of the roof is actually why it's being called a dormer. And he is creating the 3rd floor for occupancy.
As opposed to the present attic.
Correct.
But it's really the addition, repitching the roof and creating a 3rd floor.
Correct. Yes.
To me, dormers is, taking the existing roof and just putting dormer windows in.
The height of the building won't change at all. We're keeping the height the same, and the footprint of the building is remaining the same.
Okay.
Also, the whole building will be sprinklered from top to bottom.
So exterior wise, you want to look at the changes exterior wise on the front facade. Instead of 2 entries, you're going to go down to a single entry. We thought that was an important thing to point out. The material changes. The siding is going to a hardy board siding. All of the windows are going to be changed out to full vinyl replacement windows. All the specs were online.
What are the present windows?
They're a very inferior double hung vinyl window. Actually, I'm sorry to correct you, Ms. Cahill, but they're not vinyl replacement windows. They're going to be brand new. They're going to be brand new windows. Anderson Appeller wood framed.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
wood window. I'm
wood
sorry.
windows.
Thank you.
That's
And
good.
also the current windows don't accommodate the proper light ratio. You're supposed to have a certain light ratio to the room size. So the windows are too small with today's code.
Feels like it's going to look a little like the building that was renovated at the corner of Beale and is it Ravine or Hone? That's painted blue. You know what I'm talking behind?
Ravine.
Ravine.
Yeah.
No. It sounds like it's going to look a little like the building though at Hone and Beale.
The Terry office?
Behind the building with the apartments that Mike Piazza did.
Behind it, or Hone and Beale would be on the corner,
Right. There's
but the building behind.
yeah.
I'm not stuck on the color, by the way. It could be a gray.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just
I
saying.
don't care. Those are the color. Actually, that
It's
was
an
the color that
improvement.
the
I think
engineer
this is an
picked out.
improvement too. That's
Yeah.
all the point I'm only making.
I'm good with the green. I'm good with the like gray, a dark gray. What color do you want?
What's the present siding on that? Is that, it looks like shingles.
It's cut rub. Okay, so currently it's cut rubber roofing.
Yeah.
So it's a rolled roof material cut to a shape of a shingle. So
It's really bad.
It's quite hideous. I mean, the building itself is hideous.
It's really bad.
Bad as it can be.
So I took it on as a project. This way I could do something creative from scratch. Yes, because there's nothing there to keep.
Just a couple of notes. This is also in front of the planning board. Coming up September, they're going to be combining 2 parcels. into one property as at the same time. So
All right, are there any questions from an HLPC member? Colors, materials, and design are the focus. Robert?
Yeah, I'm just struggling a little bit because it's a drastic change. And I'm not saying it's not a good change. you
May I
know.
ask how it's drastic?
Well, I mean, it's, this building was something and it's an historic district.
Mhm.
And with changing the roof line, even if you don't go up, and the amount of windows added
Oh, I'm not adding windows.
in the front dormer, you're not?
Can you?
Yeah, I think well, according to this.
Oh, on the top floor, yes, okay,
Yeah,
yes, yes. I think in the lower floor, yes.
So, I'm definitely not against it.
You want less windows?
No.
What do
No,
you
I
want?
think- I think what you have is, it's certainly an improvement. By far, it's
Yes.
an improvement. But, I'm just, what's left of whatever was there underneath that rubber siding? Is there, that's all gone, right?
The building
right.
with a good windstorm could collapse. Seriously. The ledger board is rotted out. There's no
So
connect, there's
on
no
the-
connections.
Yeah, I'm
from
just
the wood
looking on the
studs to the
first
ledger board.
floor. Would it be, what's, you took out a window as you look at the building as it exists. There's two windows to the left of the doors. And now you have one window. Symmetrically, the new windows are an interesting pattern. It's
Whatever pattern you want, we'll change it. If you want to
no, I'm
put
just
that-
wondering, I don't know the floor plan off the top of my head. Would it work to put another window there? I'm thinking from street level, kind of walking by it,
Doesn't jive.
yeah. I don't know what's behind that space, if a window is suitable.
So you're recommending, Sue, keeping these two and adding a second one on that side? Or you're saying keeping the two singles? We're doodling on this one versus the one that's next to it. Sorry, I don't want to put you in the face.
Hey, well, I'm thinking like on this side, putting a
Adding that
second
window back.
window here. On this side. It's on both landmarks and heritage.
Comment, go.
Well, I will open, yeah.
Feeling.
I mean, you're making a tremendous investment in the neighborhood. It's all good. This facade, there's something a little cattywampus by taking out the door and having the coverage over nothing, like this over here. And just the repetitiveness of all the sameness of the windows. And I know that comes from the internal layout. So without, the rear facade, I don't think that anybody will be seeing that one, will they?
No,
And
To be quite honest with you, I never noticed that he removed the door in the front. And I never really looked at it very carefully. That's my fault that he took out that window. And that's not an excuse, just an explanation. So if you prefer, I think it would be better, to be quite honest with you, now that I'm looking at it in more detail, to keep the existing door that's there. And actually, as Susan mentioned, to keep the window there.
okay.
That's a great
So
idea.
there'll be
So-
two doors.
Yeah,
Two
I think so,
doors
yes,
and
please.
add this
Yes, I
and
think
add
it
the
would look better.
window. I think that would look a
No,
lot
no,
better.
you need two doors?
No, but aesthetically, I think it would look more pleasing to have it like that.
Well, going to
Well,
your,
there could be
and-
going
and
to your
maintain.
cattywampus comment,
Although,
it's the same thing. I was struggling with the fact that this
Yes.
is covering it.
I agree.
If you took the second door out, can you do something about this instead? It doesn't bother me with the windows because the windows are uniform. Even if it's five, even two, even one and one, this, I love your word, cattywampusness.
Yeah,
No, it's very odd, the awning. You're right. No, it's
Oddly
it's
bounded.
bizarre.
Even if something else happened at that door with side lights or something to give it a little specialness at the entry.
I think the best
rather-
solution is to just keep it as is with the two doors And whatever's in the inside, I work around the fact that the two doors are there, so we don't change the overall look of the existing building and maintain the window that's there.
Well, the existing building is gone. No matter what. I mean, 2 doors implies 2 apartments. If you're having.
Yeah, there
if
are
you
2
need
apartments
2
there.
doors, if there's a hallway and you need the second door to go up. Nobody has 2 doors in their living room side by side.
No, the 2 separate apartments on the ground level.
Oh,
So it would be divided right down the center.
well, that's okay then.
But it's
Yeah, I would
fine, yeah.
Keep the 2 doors.
Keep the 2
Yeah.
doors. No, I keep
I
the
don't
2
know
doors
what,
and keep.
we can't say move this, move that, not knowing what's inside.
Right, what's behind it, yeah.
But yeah, if there's, well, in this configuration, how is somebody going to get into that apartment? Or
Through
you
the-
just missed the door?
No, through the side entrance.
Oh,
Side
okay.
one on there,
But
yeah.
I think it'd be aesthetic, I think it would be aesthetically pleasing to keep the existing door. And that was an error, again, that was an error and a mishap on my part. Apologize.
I
And
think,
thank you for bringing it to my
I
attention.
think from a street
Yes,
perspective, I
absolutely.
think it makes more
Yeah.
It
sense.
makes a lot more
Agreed.
sense.
Yeah, it would look.
And this way you can maintain the general look of the existing building on the first 2 floors without making any changes.
Yeah, no, it looks like a tremendous investment. You can see it needs a little shoring up.
It's, yes, all the, the ledger boards are the ones that sit on the foundation. Half of them are rotted. Yeah, great. I found that out after the fact.
Well, when was this building built? Is there any historical significance to it that you found out or?
No, I don't know.
It is on the 1870 Beers map of the Rondout. Apparently, it replaced a larger building that was found on the 1858 French map.
Civil War.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Any further questions or comments? I'd like to specifically note that we are accepting the reuse of the both left windows on the first floor and the reuse of the door jamb.
So retaining the 2 doorways on the first street and adding the 3rd window to the street level.
Okay,
Back to the original.
so I'm going to be inserting that into the motion. I move that the commission present find his. You got me. I will entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
So moved.
Thank you, Hayes. Do I hear a second?
Second, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Hayes,
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Nettie,
Aye.
Kevin.
He's an aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. I move that the commission present find as fact that the exterior renovations and additions to the structure in the Rondout Historic District by owner applicant SXS of Beale Street Enterprises LLC, if installed according to the plans reviewed at this meeting with the addition of that you retain 2 doorways on Beale Street and add a 3rd window to the street level on the front facade. According to the procedures stipulated in Chapter 405-64 of the City of Kingston Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building for the following reasons. The residence is described on the building inventory form as follows. Appears on the 1870 Beers map of the Rondout. Apparently, it replaced a larger building that was found on the 1858 French map. The building is too simple to be stylistically characterized. It received modern alterations and retains no original detailing. It is what we call a contributory building. The dormer addition will raise the roof line and change the pitch, will not increase the height. The 2 chimneys will be removed and the standing seam metal roof in gray or black will be installed with solar panels added to the front and back. The entire building will be sided with hardy board clad siding in dark blue. Decking will be TimberTech Landmark Collection light gray, and windows will be Anderson wooden double hung with white exterior and oak interior. The door will be replaced with Anderson Arts and Crafts number 4 in white. I'm going to make that plural.
403, I think, isn't it?
403 in white. Gutters will be Berger galvanized half round, and gooseneck with wall mounted lighting will be added to the front, side, and rear entries. Any changes or additions to the plans of work specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to the work being carried out. The commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on the first day of September 2022, our commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for the work as described herein and in its application to our commission, such notice to be subject to the conditions contained in the foregoing motion. Do I hear a second?
Second, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Hayes,
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Nettie,
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
I also vote in the affirmative. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you taking your time out to do this.
And there's a second round. Hang on.
Oh,
Over to you,
Heritage,
Hayes.
okay.
Do any members of the Heritage Area Commission have additional questions or comments for the applicant? Do I hear a motion from a Heritage Area Commissioner to endorse the preservation notice of action for 151-159 and 165 of Beale Street with the discussed addition of an additional window and an additional door on the first floor?
Don't move, Mike.
Thank you, Michael. Do I hear a second?
Nettie Morano, second.
Thank you, Nettie. Any debate on the floor? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. I am Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy. Kevin?
Kevin's yes.
Okay, thanks again. All
Thank
right.
you.
Good night. Thanks for your input on the building.
Happy to help.
Buck.
141 Green Street. Jim, I saw him earlier. Ah, there you are.
No, you did not.
One item of business. Do I hear a motion from the Heritage Area Commission to declare that a type 2 action under seeker?
Bonnie Howland, so moved.
Do I hear a
Second,
second? Michael Del Priore. Any debate on that? Let me call the roll on that. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy,
Yes.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
and Janet Marr.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
One 141 Green Street. Give your name and give us a quick overview.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Fish of Lodge Architecture and Building Science, 1 North Front Street in Kingston. Today we're discussing 141 Green Street. This was approved back in 2019 by Heritage and by Landmarks. I believe tonight is just Landmarks. So it was approved 3 years ago, and then I wasn't able to get building in time, and then COVID, so I'm back.
So you're going to be, you designed it and you're going to be living in it. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it's my house,
Oh,
actually.
oh.
I've had it since 2015.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's great.
Jim, is there anything significantly changed from the last iteration of plans?
No.
No, this
Just-
had gotten approval from both HAC and HLPC. So the HLPC approval expired. Heritage is advisory, so that did not expire.
So nothing's changed though, since we
Correct.
last.
I brought the previous approval. The only thing that was on here that was not approved was The driveway was going to be replaced with grasscrete tiles, and I removed those. I'm just going to repair the bituminous driveway that's there now. So that's the only thing in the approval that was set forward as a caveat for its approval. So I should go through the whole thing again? Yes.
Well, there are some members who are new who haven't seen it.
Right.
I would say about half of us probably remember it. So give us a quick overview. It is a fairly, what you've done is stylistically a change from the.
Thanks, Kyla. That's fancy. Wow. All right. Yeah, when it was approved by Heritage, Ed Ford was on there. He liked it. So. I'll try to be quick. Kyla, could you give me the first board? Thanks. So 141 Green Street is in the is at the corner of John and Green Street, and it's surrounded by a lot of old houses, but it itself is a 1954, 1,100 square foot, 3-family. And it's not in great shape, I'll admit it. Can I do this? It's easier for me to see it. So in the upper left corner, you can see the blue area is the Landmarks District, and the red area is the Heritage District. Wow, sorry. Next door to Green Street, you can see the elevations running along the bottom. To the left is the Abraham Hasbrook House. It's limestone. To the right is the not the Van Kuren, the Dumont House from the 18th century. Across the street is the Van Kuren House, the limestone house. And then the kitty corner from Green Street is the buttercream yellow house. The which house is that? The Kierstead House from the 18th century. It's been painted green. It got painted a couple months ago, so I didn't update my drawing. So one thing that I wanted to do with the addition, it's a deep energy retrofit. So I want to pay respect to the 1954 Cape Cod, but also give it a new, give it a more contextual design. It's a lot of sketching and has happened over the last few years. Could you go to the second board, Kyla? Thanks. So as you're coming down John Street and you see Green Street, the Kierstead House across this street has this really wonderful shed dormer that goes all the way up to the eave height, the existing eave, and the Senate House has one too. And it gave me a place to put the electrical mast coming in from the street. So that shed dormer on the right side of the front facade is key in not only helping cement its place as a Cape Cod house, but also to give a transition to the addition on the left. I have these black and white photos, and this is these are the facades running along Green Street, and you can see they're all built out at the same plane, except for my house, which is about 7 or 8 feet back. So part of the reason this addition happens is to bring the second floor out with the plane of its neighbors to create a continuous street line while still showing the 1954 Cape Cod behind it. This is a deep energy retrofit building, which means the existing house is going to have a lot of exterior insulation, a new rain screen system, and new siding, while the new addition is going to be super insulated with heat recovery ventilation system, triple glazed windows, and it's going to be in a bluestone, what we called last time a bluestone color. So you can see the Abraham house next door is sandstone. limestone. So the main house, the Cape Cod house, is going to be limestone color, and the addition is going to be a bluestone color. So it's got pre-finished metal front. It's got Shusugiban, the burnt siding on the side in the same color, which is an homage to the burning of Kingston. And then the porch is also going to be the same color. Now, the one change that has happened between when I showed 3 years ago and today is that this was a pure cantilever, and I added posts down in the front because I had to use 16-inch LVLs in order to get that cantilever to happen. And I had to add a riser inside, and it became cost prohibitive. And truthfully, I like the posts more. I think they contribute to the fenestration design of the front and really help enclose the porch. So I'm very happy. I feel that it was a value engineering move, but it really worked for me. We're replacing the bluestone sidewalk in the front. Can you show me the third board? Forgot I had that. So you can see the elevations running along the front, the bottom, the right side is the front elevation. Then we have the side, which is the driveway side, which still has the Cape Cod roof referenced historically. So you can see where the house originally was. All the egress is out of the front, so there's no egress out the back where it has a walkout basement. So I would have needed a fire escape for that, so we avoided that. If you look at the colored partie drawings up above, the red is the upstairs apartment, which has the addition, and then the green and the blue are the 2 first floor units, which is pretty much as they are now. But the green unit has the stairs out to the walkout basement and a side door to the driveway. Is that quick enough? I think I did okay.
Thank you for that, Jim. Any questions from HLPC members?
My only question is on the facade, the window treatment. You've got these very dramatic sort of non-mullioned windows on the addition level, and then it looks like sort of double hung 1/1 sashes on the bottom.
Yeah.
Are those going to sort of visually coordinate in your mind?
Yeah, they're all actually from the same window manufacturer, but they're able to put in a center mullion for anything that goes on the first floor, anything that would go on the Cape Cod part of the house in order to, right now the existing windows are 1/1. They're not like 6/1 or 4/1.
Yeah.
They're 1/1. So they were able to mimic the window size that is there now, only on the sides and on the front, where it's anything that's in a light gray has that center sash, but anything that's in the new edition is actually has no muttons at all. That was done, obviously, that was done intentionally. In fact, the upstairs windows are more outies. Like when you're building out a super insulated wall, you have to make a decision where you want to put that window. You can put it you can put it in the middle of the wall or on the outside. So I decided with the new construction, I wanted it to be very flush. So the upstairs windows are outies, and the downstairs windows are innies, because the shutters are actually operable, because all the neighbors' shutters are operable too, and I wanted the shutter to be able to go inside the frame of the window. So
What type of glass is that going to? Is it going to be a highly reflective, I hope, or is it going to be treated so that it doesn't have that?
You mean the upstairs ones? I don't see them as highly reflective. I mean, they are triple glazed. They are gas filled cavities, but I don't know anything about any. They won't have any coatings, or they won't be mirrored or anything like that. They're just
Right. That's
windows.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no win.
Okay.
That'd be nice.
And they don't open.
They all open except for the big one in the middle. I wish that, you know, how much would that be? But yeah, they all open.
It's just one single pane. Do they open out? Do they open up? How do they open?
Well, they're American made, but they're European windows. So they're tilt turns. They either open in like a casement or they tip in like a, I guess that's called a hopper.
I guess that's my question though, is would the lower windows instead of sashes be better as these sort of turn in, turn out windows too, with a single pane?
They all tilt turn. Is that the question?
Well, the second level windows are tilt turn, right?
They
The
all
lower level are sashes, double hung.
No, it's actually it's one piece. It's a tilt turn, but it has the sash manufactured in the glass so that you can see the center sash.
So it's a
But it's not operable.
It's not an
Just
option
a-
to open it. Visually looks like it's got it. But it-
Right.
It all opens as one window. It's done intentionally to.
But visually, would it be better not to make it look like a double hung window is what I'm asking.
You know, I'd be for taking them out.
I feel like that would be-
Although I do feel that it is a nod to the window that it was, you know,
Okay.
and the windows that are surrounding it. All the neighbors' windows are double hungs.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're going to know that it's not two windows. You're not going to see that shadow line at the
Mhm.
intermediate sash. So it's a bit of a wink, I guess. But
My recollection is that that was a point of discussion early on. And the other one was squaring that window rather than I think you had a round window upstairs at one point.
I can assure you, I never had a round window.
All right. Any other questions? This is an HLPC only decision. Thank you for your insights, though. Nope, that's fine.
I just wanted to say, I think it looks great. And you're taking a modest house and turning it into something special, truly nice. And, you know, with on a street of other special houses.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that Friends of Historic Kingston is always coming around doing tours, and they always stand in front of my house with their back to it. And you know what? I'm okay if they still do that. I mean, it's not a historic house. It's not a contributing house, but I still would like to improve it, make it special. So thank you.
And also, I'm grateful for your attention to the facade lines. I think that will be an addition. And they may turn around and just say, well, this is an interesting twist.
Yeah, I'm going to get a historic plaque 2022.
It'll be historic someday, if all goes well. I will entertain a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
So moved.
Thank you, Hayes.
Second, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Hayes,
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Nettie, Kevin. Got a thumbs up from Kevin. I also vote in the affirmative. Okay. I'm afraid I'm going to need that one. I move that the commission present find as fact that the energy retrofits and replacement of front porch and front sidewalk proposed for 141 Green Street in the Stockade Historic District by owner applicant James Fish, if installed according to the plans reviewed at this meeting and according to the procedures stipulated in Chapter 405-64 of the City of Kingston's Administrative Code, is compatible with the historic character of the building for the following reasons. That 141 Green Street is a 1.5-story 3-family residence built circa 1954, located within the Stockade Area Landmark District as a non-contributing resource with property alterations to include an expanded second floor addition of approximately 400 square feet, an energy retrofit at the remainder of the existing residence, including air-sealed exterior insulation and rain screen, and 3, proposed replacement of the front porch and front sidewalk. That the addition material will include pre-finished clad windows, colored darker stone, siding on the north and south sides in Shugiban cedar siding, vertical 6-inch, with color similar to windows as close as possible to darker stone, with roofing, siding on east and west sides, and pre-finished standing seam in color to match the windows. That the energy retrofit materials will include pre-finished clad windows in color of darker stone. The siding will be horizontal cedar siding with solid stain in color of lighter tone, flat panel shutters in wood, color to match the addition, and the roofing to be fiberglass shingles to match the siding, again, darker stone. That the sidewalk be replaced in bluestone and a new wooden porch be installed at front left in darker color similar to the addition, and flat panel shutters described above. That the applicant represented to the commission that the historic color and roofline references he presented together with other alterations are consistent with the Secretary of Interior standards for new additions in historic districts and with the standards in Chapter 405-64 of the City of Kingston's Administrative Code. That since said building is a non-contributing resource to the historic district and not a principal feature of the historic district, the alteration will not detract from the character of the historic district around the building. Any changes or additions to the plan or work specifically described and outlined in the submitted application will be subject to further review by our commission prior to the work being carried out. Our commission's approval does not obviate the need for a building permit from the City of Kingston's Building Safety Division or any other required approvals from relevant coordinating agencies. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that on this first day of September 2022, our commission grant a preservation notice of action to the above referenced applicant for the work as described therein and in its application to the commission, such notice to be subject to the conditions in our foregoing motion. Do I hear a second?
Nettie Morano, second.
Thank you, Nettie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Nettie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And I also vote in the affirmative. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sue.
On your committee, if he wants to take out the horizontal on the lower windows, does he have the ability to do that?
No.
That's what I was questioning. Okay. That's what I thought. I was curious. I don't know if you were clear on that, but I don't know that I was clear on that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to help.
Want to get money?
It's nice to have a simple answer every so often.
Decisive, simply.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kyla.
During your meeting.
Well, that being the last item on HLPC's agenda, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Hayes. Do I hear a second?
Second, Robert.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Hayes?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Nettie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Is an aye.
It's unanimous. We are adjourned by acclamation.
Okay, next item on the HAC agenda is a application at 32-60 Wilbur Avenue for grading, parking, and public access. Kingston Land Trust, applicant and owner. Anybody from the Land Trust? If you could introduce yourself. Yep.
Kevin, are you going to be recusing yourself on this one, or are you going to participate?
Okay, if you could introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah. My name is Greg Shaheen. I'm the Director of Conservation and Stewardship at the Kingston Land Trust. Hi, Sue.
And just explain a little, give us a little overview of what you're proposing.
Sure. So this piece of land in the historic hamlet of Wilbur. There are 12 acres that we protect and steward, hold title to, of, undeveloped vacant land. In addition to an eight acres, that's the Northeastern Cave Conservancy. So it's 20 acres, protected land in perpetuity, part towards the city's open space plan goals, things like this. And, of course, I'll just say our goal here has been, since we acquired it about 3 years ago, this land, the first 6, and then about 1 year ago, the second 6 acres, is to just start bringing the community there, volunteers to help cleaning it up. The last owner didn't seem to care about much of anything, honestly. And, there were some things that happened that we, were able to basically acquire the land and just had to clean a lot of the mess up, basically. And so one of the ways that we do that so far is just getting folks onto the land. Ultimately, we want to create, trails. We want to have it definitely, interpretive signage to talk about the historical nature of the limestone mines, part of the, Newark Lime Company, the mining that was happening there. There are, historic, like basically one of the main features is this incredible sort of canyon-like environment that you wouldn't even know you're in the city of Kingston, which was mined out, but it created this kind of canyon. And so ultimately we want to have trails that go all up around that, have views, spend time in the quarry itself. And in order to do that, the slopes are very steep. In order to do that, we got a grant to do trails that would use some of the stones that are further back in the quarry, not the ones right on the road, for some stone steps. And we also have that grant money covers a parking lot. And so far we've been like, if y'all probably know, Wilbur is tough for parking. It's tough for pedestrians. So, volunteers have to park in some of the minimal lots and then kind of risk their lives walking along the small shoulder of Wilbur. But it's doable. But now it's time we have this money and we really want to, by the end of the year is the grant period, build this parking lot. So we've been working through this to create, this is really going to allow us to have access there. Which is really important.
And just for our own orientation, this is between Beale and Chapel Street on Wilbur, or is it further up?
Yeah, it is exactly, yes, before Chapel Street. So it's really
On the opposite side, though.
So it's okay. So it's on the West O'Reilly.
As soon as you
Correct.
get off of like Dunn Street or like that triangle there with the
Yeah.
Golfsville, there's a community garden. It's just starting right there. And then there's the limestone walls on I guess the north side. And then there's the historic kilns that you can see. And so I guess when we get to the site plan, we can point it out as well, but it's right there.
This is a really great project.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
But those walls are pretty close to the street. How is the parking lot going to fit in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be helpful, maybe Kyla.
Yeah.
To open the site plan one. But basically, initially, actually, so right now, there is a rough driveway that the original owner, previous owner, kind of roughed out, and then we flattened out a little bit. But that does start like right after those walls. So the walls are like, 50 feet high, and then it gradually taper down. And right where it ends right now is the existing driveway. So that's how, I get my truck up there to do stewardship work.
She's got the plans up now,
Yeah,
so you
so-
can kind of see the orientation of where this site
And I like-
is.
All right, let's go. So this is like the existing conditions. So right here is the walls go all the way from here and they end here. And there's a couple other, like, less historical cement structures, but the wall ends here. And this is the existing sort of driveway or trail right here. You can see these lines. And then if you go down, Kyla, to the next, if you scroll down, I guess to this one. So this is again showing the existing trail here, and they want to bring it over. This is like the edge of our property line. The engineers want to bring it closer to the corner here. So that will help with visibility. One of the concerns is, when you're coming down this, you can't see beyond the wall so well. But if you bring it a little bit further up Wilbur, it improves with visibility, and it also improves the grade, in order to get to the parking lot. It's still a steeper grade than, we would like, but it's it's a trailhead parking. So does that answer the question about the wall?
So it's between where that old school that's been converted to apartments is. And
The cigar factory, I think
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where we've been.
That's just right, sort of beyond it.
Yes.
The other parcel that we have is.
See that.
Yeah,
On
okay,
the-
got it. Yeah, that
Yep.
helps.
Yeah, so this is the FLAC development. It's the apartments that was a cigar factory. This is the KLT parcel that's highlighted. Then this is also a KLT parcel, another 6 acres. And then this, just for your knowledge, is the Caves Conservancy parcel that kind of goes all the way like this. And there's a cave entrance there, but.
And then just show with your finger where the parking lot's gonna be.
And then the parking lot is going to be just right here. Yeah, sort of starting here and just swinging in right here.
Okay.
So we hope we don't have to do anything to the walls. And from what I understand so far from the engineer, we don't need to for the purposes of stability. It's been there long enough. Occasionally maybe a rock or two comes out of the wall. John Schultheis made me aware of that. But it's solid. It's been there this long. John Schultheis, city engineer, and is saying that it could help improve with the visibility, even though we moved it further up. And so we are maybe considering removing part of it. But I hope we don't have to. And for, the budget, also for the historic purposes, but there is a part that is a little bit some of it is very well intact and preserved. And then some of it is a little the back edge has kind of eroded out. So I could potentially see a scenario in which we would sort of remove just part of it and then kind of grade out the land behind it. But I would be curious to know what your thoughts are on that as well.
Right. Well, as part of your traffic safety, you were also proposing a mirror as you exit the site. There would be a mirror on the opposite side of the street there of Wilbur. Is that going to be in the public right of way, Greg?
Is what in the right of way?
Will that mirror be in the public right of way? That mirror is to help with seeing oncoming traffic in both directions for anybody exiting the site.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure if it would be. Is that something that you saw in the design of the mirror?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have the answer to that right
Okay.
now, but I'm
Okay.
sure John from GPI would be able to answer that.
Any members of the Heritage Area Commission have questions for the applicant? Janet?
Is this going to be done in stages, this project?
The overall project will, but this year, what we hope to do is we would like to construct the entire parking lot before the end of the year for our grant purposes of the grant funding mostly,
And then we're-
and the first section of trail.
Okay, okay.
Any other questions or comments? Sue, does the planning board staff have any issues with this?
No, this is also going to the planning board for their review, and we're also working with Greg and John Schultes on some of the engineering specifics, but
Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act?
Janet Marr, so moved.
Thank you, Janet. Do I hear a second?
Mike.
Second by Mike Del Priore. Any debate on that or discussion? Hearing none, I will call the roll for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie
Kevin?
Howland.
Aye.
Kevin is recused on this one with his association
You'll
with
note that
KLT.
Kevin is recusing himself. Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano.
Aye.
And Janet Marr.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion to approve the plan for a 5-space parking lot at 32-60 Wilbur Avenue as presented?
Bonnie Howland, so moved.
Do I hear a second?
Nettie Morano, second.
Thank you, Nettie. That duly made motion is on the floor. Is there any further discussion or debate? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I'm an enthusiastic aye. Bonnie Howland,
I am also an enthusiastic aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Kevin McAvoy's recusing himself, Nettie Morano,
Aye.
and Janet Marr.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Great
thank
project.
you. Yeah, thanks a lot. Hope y'all, come spring, hope y'all can go for a hike. Yeah, sure. Nice to meet you all. That was the last, I'm the last, right?
Nope, one
Y'all
more.
get to go home now? Ah, okay.
Two more.
Next item of business is 161 Wall Street, a proposal to rebuild gutters, repair rotted wood portions, install vinyl siding and wrap windows in metal. Mark McCumber, applicant and owner. Thank you. Your Mark.
Yes, sir.
If you could just give us a little overview of what you're planning.
Trying to get approval to fix all the rot on the house, replace with aluminum gutters and put vinyl siding around the whole exterior.
Any questions for the applicant?
Are you gonna replace the fire?
Fire escape?
Yeah.
No, ma'am. That's an independent structure that's been certified by an engineer this year already.
Are you gonna repaint it at all or just leave it as
Yes,
is?
before the siding goes up, it will be repainted.
Okay, thank you.
We're advisory on this.
Yes.
Where exactly on Wall Street is this?
Right on the
Just-
corner of Warren Street.
Yeah.
Wall.
Okay.
I'm so happy for this
State
house.
has
I
the
drive by
office
it all
on-
the
the
time, so I'm
house right
so
on the
pleased it's
opposite
gonna
corner.
it's gonna get some love.
To disability. Yeah.
Sue, any issues from the planning board, from the planning department's perspective?
Now, he was here a couple years ago, did replacement windows. That project has been completed. I think this will be a big improvement on the street.
Yeah, I plan to get the house done. I only have funds to do the house. The garage that's detached will be after that. And then I plan on addressing the oil heater in the basement.
Any comments, concerns, questions from commissioners? Do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act?
Bonnie Howland, so moved.
Thank you, Bonnie. Do I hear a second?
Mike, second.
Michael Del Priore, second. That motion's on the floor. Is there any debate on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy. Kevin?
Kevin's eye.
Kevin's aye. Do I hear a motion to approve the proposal for 161 Wall Street related to rebuilding gutters, repairing and installing vinyl siding and wrap windows and metal?
Janet Moore, so moved.
Do I hear a second?
Nettie Morano, second.
That duly made motions on the floor. Any debate or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy.
Kevin's eye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
That is the final piece of business. Anything else, Sue?
We did have one more.
Is that
Um,
Pearl?
Pearl Street,
Pearl?
60 Pearl.
Aw.
All right. 60 Pearl Street involves an application to install new windows. 60 Pearl LLC, applicant and owner. If you could introduce yourself and just sort of tell us what you want to do.
I don't, do you guys get pictures?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You just
All right,
introduce yourself.
This being the front of the building?
Yeah. If you could introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Kevin Ginty. My daughter owns the building, Barbara Ginty.
Got it.
And since I'm retired, I happen to be the head contractor on the building too. The upstairs, when we bought this from a law firm, Gottlieb and Moran, I guess about 7 years ago, my office was always on North Front Street. I was in the business 40 years up here. I retired 10 years ago. My daughter Barbara worked in New York for Credit Suisse, got her CFP and took over my business. So she moved home. The tenant was there when we bought the building. It was a young couple, good tenant, nice people. So we let them stay. They just bought a house in Kingston. So they moved out about maybe 2 months, not even 2 months. Okay. So we decided Barbara wants to live, my daughter's going to live upstairs, and downstairs obviously is her office. So we went up and basically we're going to gut the place. The electrician is Billy Hornbeck. Hot Water Solutions is going to be the plumber. They're both ready to go. I was at the building department. They got their permits, so they're going to issue it tomorrow. The inspector was there today, but I sort of out of left field, and at first I thought, should I not come? But I didn't. It was such a courtesy that Susan gave me to put me in the meeting. I didn't want to hang people up. I didn't get this. I think it's 3:24 p.m., but I didn't get home till about 4:30. This was on my email. This is from Jennifer Lucas, who was the building inspector this morning, that went through the whole thing. And I gave her all of these plans, schematics, pictures, everything you have, even more. And this was the email. I'll read it because I didn't have time to make copies. Good afternoon, Kevin. Thank you for dropping off the window information. Unfortunately, the U value 0.30 does not meet the current City of Kingston Energy Code requirements of the New York State Stretch Energy Code 2020. So you're more familiar with that than I am. I actually looked it up before I came here and I tried to read through the whole thing, and it mainly looked like commercial. It was mainly talking about commercial ovens, commercial this, commercial that. I could not find anything in almost 50 pages that talked about windows at all. So that's where we were. The windows were ordered. I mean, I can cancel the order. And when I answered, I didn't make a copy, but I answered Jennifer. I said, look, my brother-in-law, you might know him too, Dougie Kell, was foreman of carpentry for the county. He just retired. So I got a free carpenter. So you can see there's a family affair. He's now my daughter's favorite uncle. If you want, so, but he's planning, I think, to go south for a couple of months in the winter. And to gut this too, we had to remove the radiators. So all the plumbing, we're going to replace everything upstairs. Okay. All new electric, all new plumbing. But we got to get it done before winter. So I said to Jennifer, if the windows are the holdup at this point, then forget the windows. And they're old. They're 70 years old or 80 years old. And they're the ones with the clothesline that goes up and down, and half of them are broken. There's no insulation. You know, it's the old windows. So as you can see, just to sort of give a sales pitch, we're the only one. Next to us here is the thrift store for the Fast Street Reform.
Around the corner was St. Joseph's. We're basically across from the old convent for the women. We're the only ones that kept the the bluestone sidewalk. We had to go to the city. There's a huge tree right here that pushed up all the bluestone.
Yeah.
And rather than get rid of it, they gave us permission to come in and trim it a little because we wanted to keep it historic.
Yeah.
We painted the building with a historic color. We put a new roof on from J&A Roofing. And we want to get the windows like we showed you to look, they're called colonial style with the grid in them. But now it's in between the panes. You know, it's not like, it's
Yeah.
in the new windows, they're in between the two windows, you know.
But the replacement windows would be 12/12 sashes, just like the existing ones.
We got lucky here. Of all the windows upstairs, I don't know if you have this, I gave this out. We're not doing the kitchen windows. They're an odd size. There's 2 in the kitchen. 1 in the bathroom's an odd size. But all these big windows on the sides were standard, 62 by 32. So when we went to Lowe's, that's a standard size, actually. How that happened after 70 years, I don't know. But yeah, they're standard. So we can buy replacement and we won't have to change the outside of the building, which my daughter was concerned about because we just painted it. So they'll fit these big windows here on the front, 1, 2, 3, and then on the sides, I think this is the alley between the church store.
Right.
And the bathroom window's the little one, that won't be replaced. And those 2 are the master bedroom. And then the other alley where our parking lot is, that kitchen window at the back is staying, but these 3. So there's 8 windows that are standard size.
But the ones on the front facade, if you look at the picture behind you, the projection, those are being replaced also.
Yeah, this is all on the top, okay? The bottom is the office. It's the upstairs window.
But those windows on the front, they're being replaced or no?
No, they're not. Those are the old ones. We're going to replace them if we
The upper
can.
floor windows on the front facade are being replaced.
And they're not going to
The
be.
second floor.
But they're not going to be, they're going to be 6/6s as opposed to 12/12.
Well, they don't have 12/12 anymore. They have 6/6s. So what Barbara said too, which we might do next year just for the front, if we can get away with it, is that if it doesn't look right, I don't know if people will notice, we'll do the 2 down here then. And
That's the question.
yeah, the
Would it
windows
look
are all-
weird to have a 12/12 on the ground?
yeah,
floor?
I never heard that until Susan said that. They're called 12/12s, yeah.
Right.
And that's all we're really concerned with.
Get the look.
Kudos on renovating the building and everything, but we're just really concerned with the windows.
Yeah. And we'd be more than happy to do that. In fact, we ran in, I ran into the problems with the city. The big tree in front of the place, it's a huge old tree. And J&A Roofing, he didn't want to put the roof on because there were huge limbs over my roof. And I called Central Hudson, the wires ran through them. And the Central Hudson guy said, where do you live? And at the time I lived in West Hurley. He said, we'd cut this tree down in a heartbeat, but in the city, we can't do it. There's a tree commission. So I went to the tree commission and I said, and in fact, here, this was all pushed up and St. Joseph's was still open. We had kids going back and forth. And my insurance guy, Bobby Ryan, wrote a letter to the city saying, we will not be responsible. We're putting you on notice that if you don't fix this sidewalk, that kids get hurt. We're out of it. So I went to the tree commission. I said, if you let me, I'll pay to take that tree down. I'll put another tree back, whatever you want, and I'll pay for 2 in your park. You pick the parks, I'll give you 3 trees for that. They turned me down, believe it or not. They let me cut the limbs after Bobby wrote a letter and Ian wrote a letter about J&A Roofing. And now my poor daughter just spent almost $30,000. That tree broke the sewer line. We had to dig up, we had to get Mullen to dig up the whole street with caissons and everything. We found, and that's what, we saved the pipe. It invaded the pipe, which we knew, cast iron. We had to pay that bill. And then it was during the COVID about 2 years ago. Couldn't get blacktop. They had to ship it up from someplace. That was expensive. We blacktopped. 2 weeks later, the city redid the whole street. My daughter's learning a lot of lessons here. So I still think they should take down this tree because well, it could invade, there's another property right next to us. It broke ours.
Yeah.
These trees have been there forever. I mean, like I say, I'm not against trees. I would have given them 3. We didn't expect the city to pay for it. I said, I'll pay for it. You pick the new tree and pick 2 parks and I'll pay for 2 more trees. So you get 3, and they turned this down.
So
So,
with, in regard to the windows though, when you change these upper ones, you're leaving these 12/12 and you want to change these to 6/6?
just, yeah, because as Susan pointed out, I didn't really know what 12/12 was, although as a kid, my mother had them, I cleaned enough of them, and you have to clean each one,
Corners,
you know,
yeah,
with ammonia and newspapers in those days.
that's right.
For a Windex. But yeah, the new ones, there's pictures of them here. There's 6, oh, there it is. It should be in your packet too. You know, they're insulated and all the other good stuff, but there's 6s.
So basically, do we have to agree that it's okay for him to change the 12/12 to 6/6 with the possibility of recommending that he matches the lower ones later?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd be more than happy to do
yeah, I'd like
that.
to see,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna look odd.
clean, yeah,
I
with
hate
the
to see
two,
the 12/12s lost, but I get it. They don't make them anymore.
Yeah,
I do think you have to coordinate it.
yeah,
At least
okay.
on the front.
So-
yeah, because they don't, it's clothesline like that. And
how do you
half
feel-
of them don't open anymore, the line's broken.
so how do you feel about that if we approve 6/6 with the contingent that you
Absolutely.
change to match
Yeah,
later?
we want to make this look, you know, you can see we've invested in the building, obviously, you know.
Okay.
Who's the manufacturer of the windows?
I'm sorry?
Who's the manufacturer of the windows?
0.30. I put this in here.
Oh,
all
the
the
maker,
other-
the maker.
Oh, the maker, it's from Lowe's. It's called Relibuilt 3201. It should be in your packet.
But are you saying that the email he got too, that they don't come to code with?
I didn't
Yeah, that was just
see
last
that
minute I
email.
got from Jennifer, which I knew that. Because at the time when she was there, my electrician was there and he said,
Right, there is a
it
new
met the
energy
national
stretch
standard.
code, and they will have to meet that stretch code, so.
Could we
I'm
not
if
proceed if
these-
it-
I don't know if these do
So
or
my
not.
th-
There's
my
a
thought then is-
residential and.
I'll
a
just try and
commercial.
fix the old windows and
Well, we're just gonna take a vote on the appearance of the windows and what the style can be.
okay,
It's the building department that's gonna have to deal with the
the
stretch code.
the 0.30.
Okay, yeah,
you?
what the building department is telling you is that the windows that you had spec'd from Lowe's do not meet the current code. So they're not acceptable under the new code that the city has.
Well, I'll go back to Lowe's because we already ordered them because in fact, we were going to go with Pella, but Pella is 4 months out. And I got to have this buttoned up by the winter one way or the other. So we went with these because they're only about 6 weeks out. But I know that they're not.
Saying he has to cancel them anyway because it's not the right, it doesn't pass
Right, they
code.
don't meet the
No, I
code.
said to Barbara today, we'll go back to Lowe's. We won't cancel. Maybe we can just take the money. And
And upgrade.
yeah, okay. And get the U, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Lowe's wouldn't know that. You know, you know,
Well, I
hello.
mean,
Although-
it's a community, it's not a state
Yeah.
code. It's a state code, but it's adopted by the individual community
Oh,
to
okay.
implement. So the city of Kingston has adopted it.
Do you know what the
as their
number is for the
code.
city of Kingston for the U? Does that, or they'll know, the building department will know?
It's different for residential and for commercial. So,
So should he respond to that email then and say,
Oh, I will.
understood, please
It was-
let me know?
I already responded to Jennifer, but
Okay.
it was like 4:30. I don't know if she got it. And I basically said it's a deal, but if it has to, I'll wait a year to go do the windows. Because I got to button this up, you know.
There's no way to restore the existing windows. I mean, they're pretty shot.
Yeah, we should have done the downstairs when we moved in.
I
We
see
sort of
you,
cleaned
Kevin.
everything up and she was running low on money.
all right.
It's a
Kevin-
very pretty building and it's a
Yeah.
very nice, the windows are nice too.
okay,
No, but
Kevin
yeah,
McAvoy wants to say something, so everybody has to turn their microphones off.
I'll be
Oh,
fast.
press this.
Yeah, my question is, are you doing a gut rehab or altering more than half of the building? Did it come through? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Kevin.
Okay, yeah. My question is if you're altering or your job includes besides the windows, are you doing work on more than half the building? On the interior?
He said no, only 800 square feet.
You may want to ask the building safety again to take a hard look at the stretch code, because that was my understanding. I'm on the Climate Commission and the Conservation Council. We had looked at that code, and it was our understanding on retrofits and rehabs that if it was less than 50% of the building, they could be taking the position that it's 50% of the windows. I don't know exactly, you have the email, but I would ask them for clarification and see if something can be done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what Kevin is saying is that he also sits on the Climate Action Committee, who also looked at the stretch code. And he says you should go back to the building department and discuss with them to take a hard look, because as he understands it, there's a 50% rule when you're doing a retrofit. And if you're not exceeding that 50% rule, the stretch code may not fully apply to you.
So you might be okay. With the lows.
I'd rather, I'll go back to it. If there's something better that they want to do.
No,
Okay.
but if you go back to the building department and clarify that you're not altering more than 50% of the building, they may let you may not have to do the stretch code, meaning the windows would be allowed. Yeah.
Yeah, the downstairs, they added to this building. There's a back to it that was downstairs.
I think we should take a vote on what's really germane to us. And that's more the 6/6 stuff, the style. So do I hear a motion to declare this a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act?
Bonnie Howland, so moved.
Do I hear a second?
Janet Moore, second.
Any debate on this? Okay, I will call for a vote on that. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy. Sue,
He's waving.
Kevin is an aye.
okay. Do I hear a motion to approve installation of 5 new windows on the
8.
1,
8.
2, 3, 4, 5? We're talking
On the
about the front.
sides as well.
Do I hear a motion to approve the installation of 8 new windows at the front and side of 60 Pearl Street with 6/6 double hung windows in a material and manufacturer as approved by the City of Kingston Building Department?
Bonnie, so moved.
Bonnie, do I hear a second? Michael Del Priore, second. That motion's on the floor. Any debate, discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore,
Aye.
Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy.
Aye.
Thank you. So you've got permission to do 6/6s. You're still going to have to talk to the building department about who the manufacturer is. And if maybe they'll let you do it with Lowe's since you're not going 50% of the building. Okay? Thank you.
That's
No
okay.
problem.
Oh, this isn't late. This is early.
Yeah.
Turn.
Anything else, Sue?
No.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Michael Del Priore, do I hear a second? Any discussion of that? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. I'm Hayes Clement. I vote aye. Bonnie Howland,
Aye.
Michael Del Priore, Nettie Morano,
Aye.
Janet Marr,
Aye.
and Kevin McAvoy.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
We're adjourned. Thanks, Kevin.